welcome everyone once again to this channel. My name is Janet. I'm working through the King James's Bible. I'm in the book of Deuteronomy right now. Today's chapters that I'm covering are 21, 22 and 23. So without further ado, we'll start with 21. So it's more laws as always, because this book is all about Moses reiterating all the laws that he has learned during his years in the wilderness with the Israelites and with God. So we start with the law here is if an unknown body, dead body, is found in their land, what they have to do is the elders have to measure the distance of the body from other residing towns. That's what they have to do first. Then to atone for this murder, they must take a young cow who has not given birth and they have to break its neck in the valley where it's been found, the body. And then they are to wash their hands over it and confess that they did not shed this blood of this man and pray to the Lord to remove all the guilt from the people and the land. So that's what happens there. Now during the war, if a man wanted to marry a captive woman, what had to happen was she had to cleanse herself first. So she had to shave all her hair off. And then she had to be given 30 days to grieve her mother and father and family's loss, and then he could marry her. Now if a man has two wives and he loves one of them but not the other one, and if the one that he doesn't love gives birth to his first son, his firstborn, then he is to give double of everything that he has to that son, and that son will be given his inheritance. Then we move into rebellious sons. So if anyone has a rebellious son and they're not listening to their mother or father, then they are to be brought forward to the elders, who will then take them to the gates of the town where they are to be stoned to death. This was to flush the town of all evil. So that's what had to be done. Now we should have a big sign here saying, Israelites, be afraid, be very afraid. Because the Lord is saying, through Moses, the Lord is saying, if someone is guilty of a capital offence, he is to be put to death and then hung from a tree. But not hung overnight, they must be buried that night. But they're there to show what happens if anybody does this kind of offence. And the quick burial is to ensure that the land is not defiled for the Lord. That's why that has to take place. So that's a pretty strong few rules coming up there. What has to be followed, because death by stoning or death in any case is the most severe punishment. So that closes chapter 21 quite abruptly. Now in 22 we go into marriages and property laws. So if someone finds a lost ox or sheep, it sounds funny saying this because back in the day, you know, if someone finds a lost ox or sheep, they must return it to its owner. So they've got to do all they can to find its owner and return it. Now, if the animal is sick, they've got to care for that animal until the owner is found. And these laws are quite similar to property as well. If a property is found where the owner's not there, they've got to find the owner, the rightful owner of whatever property that is. I'm not talking about a house here. It could be anything. It could be, goods of any kind. If they're found, they've got to be given back to their rightful owner. Then Moses relays that men should not wear women's clothes or vice versa. Women should not wear men's clothes. Donkeys and ox must not graze in the same land, like be raised together. That's a no-no. And if someone finds a bird's nest with its mother and babies, they can take the babies, but they cannot take the mother. The mother has to be left alone. You're not allowed to wear linen and wool together. That's a no-no. And seeds are not to be cross-pollinated. So don't put two different seeds in the same land and grow them. That's a no. Next we go into if a man marries a woman and he claims she wasn't a virgin when he married her, then afterwards it's uncovered that she actually was a virgin, then he's not allowed to divorce her. He's just basically locked himself into that marriage. However, if the case is true and she wasn't actually a virgin when he married her, then she can be stoned to death. Pretty severe consequences if you go against the Lord. Now if a man sleeps with a virgin woman who is pledged to another man, then both of them may be stoned to death. If a man rapes a woman and is pledged to another man, then he is to be stoned to death. A man who rapes another woman who isn't pledged to anyone else has to marry her, and he can never divorce her. The last law in this chapter is a man must never dishonour his father by marrying his father's wife. That is forbidden by the Lord. So there we go, more strict rules. So let's move on. More to come. Number 23. This talks about the congregation who are not allowed to become part of the assembly, and also other laws as well. So we'll start off with the congregation who is forbidden. So no children born with unmarried parents are allowed to enter this congregation. The Ammonites and Moabites are definitely not allowed because they did not help the Israelites when they were leaving Egypt. Remember, there was all those times where they didn't want them to cross the land, made it difficult for them. They also wanted to get a prophet to curse them. So those people now are not allowed to be part of the congregation. Then Moses says that the Edomites are to be treated like your brothers, so do not hate them. And also the Egyptians, don't hate them. They're third generation, so they aren't to be hated either. Moses explains, because they're in a camp, so when they're camping out of war, how to have a bowel movement to make sure that the land is not defiled, and how to keep things clean. So they go into details about that, which I'm not going to cover here, but if you want to check out the link under this video, you can find out there for yourself. And other just separate laws altogether are any slaves seeking refuge amongst the Israelites are to be given free rein of the land. They're allowed to live amongst them. And any money made from prostitution is never to be given to the Lord. That is extremely detested by the Lord, so don't do that. And vows, any vows made to the Lord must be sort of taken care of pretty quick. If you make a vow, make sure you get to it fast. And then the final law that we're going to cover today is the Israelites are not to charge interest to other Israelites, but they can do it with strangers. So they can charge interest to strangers, but not their own kind. And there we go. 3 chapters with a lot of strict rules, ordinances to be followed. And Moses is constantly, as always, relaying all of this information to these new, young Israelites who will be entering that promised land and going to war. So there's a lot to learn, a lot to take in, and they've got a lot to get going. So that's it. That's the summary of the 3 chapters for today, and I will be back again tomorrow, as always, with more chapters within the book of Deuteronomy. Right now, hope to see you all again soon. Take care. Bye.